Hi everybody, Paul here, and I'm here with Marcia and Francine, and today we're doing a fun little springtime tortoise and the hare chat. So we've got our tortoise, Rotunda, and then we've got our rabbit, not a hare. This is Cloudy. And so we're going to have them do what we're calling a fun little race, but it's not really a race. We're doing behaviors. We're actually having them target. So we ask them to touch their nose to these little targets that we're holding out, and if they do, they get a treat. If they don't, they can wander off if they want. It's just kind of a fun thing we're doing. Cloudy is very curious, so we expect she might actually go over and visit Rotunda. But as of right now, it looks like nobody's really interested in participating too much. As I mentioned, Cloudy is not a hare. She's actually a rabbit. The main differences between the two are that hares have much bigger ears and they've got much longer legs. Some other differences are that hares really spend pretty much all their time above the ground, whereas rabbits will either, depending on the species, they'll either dig their own dens or they'll find abandoned burrows from woodchucks or other animals like that, and that's where they'll spend either their nights or that's where they'll kind of have their babies, so they'll be protected. Because hare babies come out basically fully formed with their eyes open and ready to go, whereas baby rabbits take a little bit more time. So Rotunda is a little bit on the move. Oh, and Cloudy came back out again. So Rotunda is a Sulcata tortoise. They also call them African spur-thighed tortoises. She's on the move. She's gaining ground. She might make it. Good job, Rotunda.
She's moving like lightning.
Yeah, these guys are found in the sub-Saharan region of Africa, so just below the Sahara, not actually in the desert, but on the edge where there's still some greenery and some shrubs and things like that, some grasses they can eat. So there's still not a lot of water, so they get most of their water through those plants that they eat, but it's not entirely dry and deserted like your stereotypical desert. So she is actually 31 years old this year. These guys can live up to 70 years, is pretty good, sometimes even longer than that. So she's kind of a middle-aged tortoise, but she's pretty much fully grown. These guys are the third largest tortoise species in the world, only behind Galapagos tortoises and Aldabra tortoises. So I think Rotunda is probably the clear winner here. I don't think Cloudy really got out of the gate today. She's just kind of hovering around there, enjoying the sights and sounds and smells.
Is she a harlequin rabbit?
I don't know the specific breed that she is. We speculate that she's a Polish rabbit because she is kind of tiny. She's got those tiny ears. Again, with the targets, that's something you can do with your animals at home. So all the targets it can be anything you have around the house as long as you're consistent with it. So we use these neat little, what we call acrylic lollipops. They've got the target on the end. But you can use even just a piece of paper, a mat, or something like a stick with any sort of toy on the end. And you can ask your animal to just touch their nose to that target. And when they do, make sure you give them a treat. And if you do that consistently, eventually you can use that target to kind of guide your animal around anywhere in the house, and you can use that to teach other behaviors too. It makes teaching like crate behaviors or sit behaviors or stand up behaviors really easy because you already have that one thing to work off of.
How big will Rotunda get?
This is probably as big as she'll get. Again, she's 31 years old, so she's not going to be doing a whole lot more growing. She's about 80 pounds right now, which is pretty good. Some of the males can get even bigger than that. They can get to 120 pounds or even more. And she's about, I'd say, 3 feet long at the moment.
And what's her life expectancy?
Her life expectancy is around 70 years, but they've been known to go even farther than that, even into the 80s. So they're a very long-lived species, as a lot of tortoises are. And they are fairly common in the pet trade. They're endangered out in the wild, but like I said, they're common in the pet trade. So if you see them in a pet store from a breeder, make sure you really know what you're getting into. You're getting into a lifelong commitment with an animal that's going to get very large, and these guys can dig too. So if you have them in your house, they can just tear up your cabinets and tear toilets right off the ground and things like that. So they definitely need outside space. And they require a lot of fresh food too, and they require you to just plan for the future, because if they're going to be around for 70 years, you need to make sure that they're homed for that entire time.
Someone said that Cloudy must note that today is a sunny day, and that's why she's not coming out.
She might.
How old is Cloudy?
Cloudy is 8 years old, so she's a little bit old for a bunny. Generally, rabbits live around maybe 10 years, sometimes into their teens. But she's in really good health for a little bunny. You know, we've got a great group of veterinarians here that take excellent care of all of our animals. And anytime, if we notice anything wrong with Cloudy, we can always call them, and they'll see her as soon as possible. But like I said, she's doing great.
So Cloudy's not participating today, which I think
that's okay.
Yeah, I think that it's a really good chance for us to talk about what we do when animals don't want to participate.
Yeah, so, I think she's taking a bath instead of participating. So all of our training that we do here, it's based on positive reinforcement and it's based on choice. So we ask the animals to come out, and if they come out, they get a bonus treat. They'll always get their full diet, throughout the day. We never withhold food. But again, if they don't want to participate, they can just hang out and do their own thing. We won't force them to come out. We might ask them again, say, because maybe they just weren't feeling it right in that moment, but we'll say, like 5 minutes later, do you want to come out? And they're like, sure, now I'm ready. But Cloudy doesn't really want to come out, and that's okay. She doesn't have to.
So for people who are maybe training at home, it's a good reminder that, if your dog or cat, well, probably not cat. Can you train a cat?
Yeah, my cats all sit at home.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they don't want to participate, don't grab them and try to force them.
Yeah. Just basically take a break and then maybe come back later. Sometimes you also want to examine the treats that you're using, because if you use a very low value treat, there's not really any reason for the animal to train for that because they don't really want that item that you have. So sometimes you have to find, maybe your dog likes chicken way better than he likes beef or something like that. And find those high value snacks that they'll work for, that they'll train for.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
If you accidentally buy cat food, can you still feed it to your dog as as a treat?
I would not recommend that. They're both formulated differently.
I better return that then.
Yes, absolutely. Just better to play it safe, just in case.
Okay.
Oh, Rotunda's coming back. I think Cloudy's getting lapped here.
Oh my gosh. Well, they do say that you're fastest when you're in your 30s.
Oh,
you're the fastest at running.
Do they say that?
Yeah, they do.
And so right now, Rotunda is getting some lettuce, and sometimes she'll get lettuce in her normal diet. But again, if she didn't want to work for the lettuce right now, we would make sure that she still got that later on too. But she gets some grass hay as well. We also put her outside in the wallaby yard when it's warm enough, so you guys might be able to come through and see her out there. It's always a lot of fun. And she does help keep the grass really trim out there. She's kind of a very slow-moving lawnmower.
Is lettuce a high-value food for Rotunda?
Yes. So she doesn't get a whole lot of it because it does have a very high water content. So it is kind of more of a treat.
You can kind of see right under her neck, there's like little protrusions. What are those?
Are you talking about the bottom of the shell there?
Yeah.
So that's part of what we call the plastron. So she's got the carapace and the plastron, and that's all part of the shell, so the top part and the bottom part. And it's, again, just to help protect her from any predators or anything like that. So she can actually withdraw her head and put her 2 front feet in front of her face to protect the really important parts. Because you can see she's got some some protrusions here that are a little bit harder and would be more difficult for a predator to try to get through. And again, if you look at her shell, it's really neat. A lot of times people see the shell and they think, oh, that's just, because of cartoons, they think that's the animal's home. But her spine is actually attached to the back of that shell. That is part of her body. It's not something extra
so she can't get up and walk away.
No, you can never exit your shell. That's part of you. And funny enough, oh, she's stealing Cloudy's lettuce too. Those shells actually do have some nerve endings. So a lot of times people will see tortoises and they'll think it's funny to knock on the shells or things like that. We say don't ever do that because they can feel that, and that's not really pleasant for them.
Wow, she's
She sees lettuce just sitting there, and she's not going to let it go to waste.
She's a little machine.
Yeah.
How much does she weigh right now?
She weighs 80 pounds at the moment.
Whoa.
Yeah, so she's a big girl, but she's not the biggest Sulcata tortoise at Brookfield Zoo. I believe Tank is the biggest one. I think he's about 120 pounds, but I haven't really checked it in a while.
Yeah, he's pretty big. And he's over at Pachyderm.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us for our fun little tortoise and the hare chat. And always thank you for supporting Brookfield Zoo. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.